Welcome in to another edition of the PHNX D-backs podcast right here on PHNX. My name is Derek Montilla. I don't know what to say. I might be speechless. I might just sit here for a full 45 minutes, or at least until Jesse joins us, just staring off about the 13-0 blowout that we just saw the Arizona Diamondbacks suffer at the hands of the Detroit Tigers of all teams. Again, and not to put any disrespect on the Tigers name, we knew Tarik Skubal and this team was going to be a little difficult for the Diamondbacks to handle, but we didn't know the offense was going to be hanging up 13 runs on this team. And Damon, dog, I'm kind of disgusted about this. Don't know about you. What are your thoughts here, pal?
I can't believe it, but I can. I texted you and Jesse. I think like the first thing that popped in my head is this run differential is cooked. Now we can stop pretending that this team is better than they are.
Their fraudulent run differential is a wrap.
Yeah. Like I'm so happy to stop doing that. Now we're like basically like an even run differential on the season, which pretty much explains the season really. Like such a hot and cold team. We don't know which team we're getting depending on the day. So it's pretty indicative of the current season, I'd say.
This might be the worst loss of the season and might be the worst loss in the last 2 years. But of course, what a great night for this show to be brought to you by our friends at OG's Brands, because OG's, shout out to OG's Brands. We need them tonight. We need you tonight more, OG's, than we possibly ever needed you. Head on over to ogsbrands.com to see their full lineup, including their two newest gummies, the OG's Naturals and the Big OG's, which I will be doubling down on a night like this. You can also find out where you can purchase their wonderful products. Yes, the Diamondbacks lose 13-0, Damon. And like I said, this might be the worst loss of the year. Even if it's not their worst loss, I think over the last couple of seasons, I think this one is devastating just based on the fact that the Diamondbacks, I don't know if you want to call it a roll, but the Diamondbacks were kind of finding some success. They, found a way to win a lot of games against the Cincinnati Reds. And this Tigers team was definitely not the offensive threat based on their team OPS and some of the stats we talked about on our pregame show that you thought was going to be able to put up 13 runs on the Arizona Diamondbacks, a taste of their own medicine in regards to what they've done to a few teams this season.
Yeah. I mean, it's baseball, right? So anything can happen in any given game. It doesn't really matter what your team stats are. Like the worst team could do this to the best team, I guess, technically, but hopefully it just like you don't want to lose the series to the Tigers. So that's really what it comes down to, right?
Yeah.
Just don't, you got to win these next couple games. Like you can't be losing series to teams like this. That's not how you make the playoffs. So yeah, how mad I am about tonight will be impacted by future performances, if that makes sense.
How, like, can they rebound tomorrow? It is just one game, right? But this one feels a little devastating. And again, the Diamondbacks have put it on teams and then lost the next day. So it's not like it's out of the question. This is just one of those situations where, of course, Tarik Skubal, who I refuse to, I don't want to pronounce his name correctly because it's Tarik and that's Derek. And I can't believe that a man that spells his name Tarik sounds like my name. Like our names could get confused in a drive-through. Like if they're like asking for a name for the order.
How funny would it be if like Starbucks wrote down Tarik for you one of these days?
I'd be furious. After what he did to the Diamondbacks today, that would be a downright insult because he was outstanding. Damon, he almost no-hit the Diamondbacks. We were texting each other about a potential no-hitter. We won't say who, but one of the three of us might have been excited about considering the way things were going of a no-hitter happening. And it definitely wasn't the two people on the show right now. So you can do the math yourself on who that was. But
deductive reasoning.
Deductive reasoning definitely will let you figure that one out. But you got to tip your cap to what Skubal was able to do against the Diamondbacks tonight, because it was he was putting them down, and he did it without striking a lot of guys out.
Yeah, and all the more impressive, he did it while being from Kingman, Arizona. He made it out of the mud.
That is
Kingman, Arizona. Yeah. It's pretty impressive when you think about it.
A lot of people make it out of Kingman, Damon. Not a lot of people make it out.
Not Cy Young candidates.
No. This man might start. He might start the all-star team for the AL. Who knows?
That'd be crazy.
His ERA is now 1.80. So impressive for any person, let alone someone from Kingman, Arizona, right? But
yeah, but we need to find a way to get him in a Diamondbacks uniform. But yes, he's nasty.
We'll bring them all home. We'll bring him. We brought Bud home. We'll bring them all home eventually. That's the way it works. But Ryne Nelson's a different story, and I know we'll probably talk about him a little bit more later when Jesse joins the show. But his performance was far from the best tonight, and the Tigers batters really exploited his pitches tonight. It was the worst outing of Ryne Nelson's career, and again, not a great time for it, considering the Diamondbacks don't really have a lot of options on where they could go if they decided to turn to someone else and not, and not go with Nelson.
That was a pretty rough outing. I didn't even, honestly, once it started getting out of hand, I figured that they pulled him out. I didn't realize he gave up 8 runs.
Yeah.
I thought he gave up 6.
Yeah. 4 innings pitched, 11 hits, 8 runs. He walked 1, struck out 4. That's
pretty shameful.
It was a bad night.
That stinks real bad. I mean, you can't. The sooner that we can start getting some starting pitching back that healthy, the better. That's really what needs to be said about that. Erod, hopefully you're here soon.
It's a machine, right? And I mean, we never got to see all of the parts pulled out of the box and put together so that we ever really saw this machine run right. But you can definitely tell, just like a machine with a missing part, the stress it puts on the other parts, you start to see it fail, right? And really at this point, what we've seen is guys that can absolutely contribute to this team in a way, but are not really candidates in the long term to be starting pitchers, at least for the time being, at a major league level, right? Some of these guys have been asked to come up kind of early in their career. I'm not going to say that about Ryne Nelson, but I mean, in some cases their development is going to continue at a major league level, even beyond the minors. We're just seeing the Diamondbacks, fall short, and now, the longer they try to keep, guys like Slade and Ryne Nelson in the lineup, the longer or the harder it's going to be for them to continue to find success. The more information that's available about these guys, the more they pitch, the more they are going to be exposed, especially on a night where Ryne Nelson doesn't have his best stuff. It makes it really difficult for him, considering how much he relies on that fastball.
And that's fair. And I think with Ryne Nelson, that's fair. I just wanted to point out that while Slade wasn't very good in his last game, I don't think that he belongs in that same category, I guess, because general, I feel like his outings have been pretty solid. Like, if you look at,
he's incredible early, right? I mean, that's hard to do. That it's not something to sincerely, it almost seems like I'm joking about it all the time, but what he did, when we talk about him doing something that hasn't been done in 50 years, that's hard to do, because going out there against any major league lineup and being perfect through 2 innings for 5 consecutive starts really does show promise. And I feel like it shows promise beyond just his potential as a great reliever for this team, right? It was
he's
honestly,
he's
like,
pitched
you
well
can tell
before.
there's something there to build on as a starting pitcher, right? I don't know if I feel the same way about Ryne Nelson.
Yeah, at what point do we say that we've had enough of the Ryne Nelson starting experience?
Well, Torey did tweet, or Jesse, I shouldn't say. Torey doesn't tweet. He never tweets. Jesse Friedman, our very own one and only, tweeted out that Torey Lovullo said that Ryne Nelson will make his start in regards to his next start. And he said, quote, "We haven't even talked about that." And I'm guessing in regards to that is that they're not even acknowledging, or they're not even thinking about pulling Ryne Nelson out of the starting rotation. Now, it's understandable, because Torey is not the kind of guy that immediately turns away from a guy after having a bad performance. If anything,
he
could be criticized for going too far, going the other way.
He's ever done that. Yeah.
Right. He gives guys maybe too many opportunities before deciding to pull the plug on guys that the fans and, people like us have already maybe given up on. Right. But at the same time, what options do they have, right? They could turn to Blake Walston or some of the guys in the minor leagues, but it's not really like right now this team has a lot of options in regards to who they could really replace Ryne Nelson with that would be, able to handle that workload of being a starting pitcher for them on a major league level.
Yeah, that was actually who Jacob texted me about, was Blake Walston. And I was like, yeah, I mean, I remember in his last game that he pitched, he had some swing and miss stuff.
He shoved.
He wasn't, I think he gave up a run or two maybe, but
he did.
But he
wasn't perfect.
but he looked pretty good doing it. Like, it wasn't like it didn't look like a fluky performance, like he was getting rocked or something. Like, I thought I saw something there. So that's a direction that they could go in. But yeah, there's not much in the way in terms of like ready to they are the ready to go starting pitching. We have Merrill Kelly and Eduardo Rodriguez out right now. Like, Ryne Nelson, Slade Ciccone, like, those are the guys that were supposed to take over for injuries. So, or if someone was bad, I guess, out of those 5 that we had a lot of confidence in. But I don't know. I mean, there's not much more in terms of depth. Like, Christian Mena, I have a lot of hope for, but he's really young. Like, I don't think that he's ready yet.
I just don't know how desperate you want to start getting, right? And I don't know if, now is the time to really start doing that, right? Like, because again, these guys might not have the success at a major league level. And then you're just putting yourself potentially in a worse spot. I don't really know what the answer is, right? I think that right now the Diamondbacks feel like they're close enough to Eduardo Rodriguez returning that they are comfortable with Ryne Nelson making his next start and maybe potentially one more start beyond that. However, hopefully Erod will be back soon. It just becomes then, who is the odd man out? Is it Slade or does it become Ryne at that point? It really is feeling like I'm leaning a bit more towards Ryne Nelson being the odd man out, but it depends on the usage and what the organization decides to do. If it's a matter of sending them back down to Reno, or if it's a matter of pivoting and potentially using one of those 2 guys in the bullpen. As we've said, like, Slade has electric stuff that you think can really be something of a weapon out of the bullpen, but in regards to who they have to rely on while they wait for Merrill Kelly to return from injury, that's remains to be seen what the Diamondbacks are going to do there. Of course, we do have the bullpen to talk about a little bit. Bowman continues to be, I guess, unreliable. He went out there, gave up a lot. 2 innings, he gave up 6 hits, 5 earned runs, 1 walk, 3 strikeouts. The game was kind of gone after the 8 earned allowed by Ryne Nelson, but Bowman didn't really do a good job of keeping the team in it. Meanwhile, Logan Allen did. He gave them 3 solid innings of no-hit baseball, struck out 4. And again, Logan Allen is a great long man to put into these situations, and he tends to be able to support it. I mean, he tends to be able to go out there and give you a decent amount of length while limiting the damage and allowing, the team to remain competitive if this was a closer game. This was not a close game. Not only could we talk here about the Diamondbacks and, their side of the offense and the runs they allowed, the runs Ryne Nelson allowed, but, at the dish, this team did nothing of significance tonight. The only bright spot would be Ketel Marte extending his hitting streak. But let's take a look before we talk about that at the count presented by our friends at Desert Financial Credit Union. What a lopsided affair. This couldn't be a more one-sided game. Diamondbacks lose 13-0. What was that?
I just said fun.
Oh, yeah. Great times. Great ones, Damon. I'm having I really wanted to do this show. I was looking forward to talking about these numbers fucking right here, right now. 17 hits to the Diamondbacks, 3 hits that easily could have been 0 hits. I don't even know why I needed to do that, but it felt necessary because it really did feel like they were going to get no hit in this game. The Tigers were 8 for 17 with runners in scoring position. It's insane. 8 for 17. I don't even know what that's like. Meanwhile, Diamondbacks 0 for 7. I don't even know how they got 7 scoring opportunities with runners in scoring position. It's wild. Meanwhile, the Tigers struck out 11 times and the Diamondbacks only struck out 9. So there's a win for you if you want to take a moral victory away from this. Hard hit percentage, again, not a lot of hard hit balls in this one. The Tigers just kind of singled and doubled the Diamondbacks to death. 31.8% for the hard hit percentage for the Tigers and 26.5% for the Diamondbacks. They weren't, I mean, they barely hit the ball. So maybe 1 out of those 3. I don't even know how 26.5%. Oh, well, I guess some of them could be lineouts and stuff, but it's just gross. This is a gross game that I never want to really talk about ever again. And I hope we don't have to. No home runs hit in this one by the Arizona Diamondbacks or the Tigers. So that explains your hard hit percentage.
I would like to know, I would love to know the amount of times that a team has scored 13 runs and not hit a home run in MLB history.
I mean, actually, I don't feel like that's that uncommon because I almost feel in those games where it's like this, they do. It's like the loading the bases, and I've heard a pitcher say this on more than one occasion. Like I've heard multiple pitchers in the Diamondbacks organization say they would much rather give up a grand slam than be singled to death, than to have that never-ending death carousel of guys on base just going around on you. 1 run, 2 runs, there's 2 more, there's 4 runs, there's 3 runs, there's 2 more. Like that is demoralizing, where at least the home run cleans the slate for you, right? You're got nobody on base. You could kind of start over. Mentally, it allows you to reset yourself, right? And I don't think that when teams do what they did to the Diamondbacks tonight, I think that, you see what you see. The Diamondbacks allowed runs in, what was this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 consecutive innings. Damon, 5 consecutive innings, 3 innings with multiple runs allowed. 1 in the second inning, 3 in the third, 1 in the fourth, 6 in the fifth, 2 in the sixth. This was ugly. This was
bad.
It's bad. No, this was bad. This was really bad, friend. But we did have to give the King Snake to someone. I was going to give it to our pal Tim for hanging in there and watching this whole game and then joining us on the show afterwards. I was going to give it to any fans that stayed in the stadium until the end of the 9th inning because
I actually made
the real MVPs.
I actually made one for the fans too. So
did you?
Yeah, we could.
You want to throw it up there?
Yeah, I mean, for sure.
Why not? I had a fan. Yeah, gross. Fans that stayed. You're not gross. The game was gross, but you're an MVP. You're our MVP. But of course, the real King Snake here is Ketel Marte, because our man got himself a hit. It might have been a meaningless hit. It might have been in garbage time, but I don't care because Ketel Marte ties a career high that he set in 2022. Now currently having a 16-game hitting streak. The man is just a beast, Damon. He's just so much fun to watch. He's hilarious. He's unintentionally hilarious. He is a great baseball player. And I enjoy watching Ketel play baseball so much. In fact, Marte has recorded hitting streaks. This is per the Diamondbacks of 10 plus games or more. So a hitting streak of 10 games or more, 11 times in his career. So you want to talk about a guy that gets dialed in over an extended period of time. It's Ketel. He finds a way.
That's like Kevin Newman having 6 walk-offs. It's like, there's got to be something to that. That's not like a coincidence. Like Kevin Newman's a savage. You want him up with the game on the line. Yeah. It's the same thing with Ketel. Like that's just who he is. He's a really good hitter. Really good.
And again, he's
the only good one. He's
a great teammate. Like you see the interactions he has with his teammates. You see the way he is. The way he is in the clubhouse is amazing. I mean, there's a different aura when Ketel walks in. Like players are always kind of coming and going in and all of that. And when he walks in, I think all the players kind of love Ketel, and he's always wearing something incredible when he walks in. So everybody's got to like give him the fit check, see what he's rocking. But man, I'm just glad this guy is an Arizona Diamondback. And again, bright spot on a very, very dark night, if you will. But if you want me to make things better, I'm not going to, because now I'm going to tell you that the Reno Aces also lost by double digits tonight and got blanked. The Aces lost by a score of 14-0. So if you want more bad news, here, let me pile it on.
Organization in shambles.
Oh man, it's bleak. It's bleak.
Yeah.
There's nothing on the horizon right now. I don't even know what I have to wake up for in the morning tomorrow, besides the fact that I like to read the morning news. But hey, there will be a tomorrow. And luckily, Damon, as I've said before, there's no aggregate scoring in Major League Baseball. So none of these runs are going to count tomorrow. And the Diamondbacks still have a chance to come out. We know they've been terrible in game ones of series, but they have a chance to come out tomorrow and even the series and perhaps take the thing home on Sunday. Ernesto gives us a little bit more good news. Ernesto says, Drew Jones, 4 for 4 tonight, 2-run home run.
We take those.
My guy I'm telling you, they unplugged Drew Jones on April 17th and they plugged him back in.
Yeah.
And ever since then, he has been operating at full functionality, and it's great to see. It's great to see. Baseball is such a weird game like that, where literally all of a sudden someone, like, no matter what direction, whether they go like Lourdes did from being one of the best hitters on the team to struggling the way he did to, things like this, where Drew Jones, honestly, people started questioning if the Diamondbacks really had a bust on their hands in Drew Jones. And now my man has had an incredible 30-day run at least. And it might not be, this might not be all he is either, right? There still might be some more growing pains ahead, but it's very encouraging versus what we were seeing when the season started for Jones.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't been tracking it too much. I know Jacob's like my minor league update guy. Like whenever I need an update on a scouting report on any minor league Diamondback, I just go to Jacob.
People panic.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm not all that high on Drew Jones. I haven't really been, but I'm really glad to see that. I mean, it seems like he's not slumping like he was early in the season. He's not just like a downright horrendous hitter. He was struggling, and now he's picking it up and showing some flashes, which is good to see.
I would love to see that out of Corbin right now, because Corbin continues to struggle.
That was the worst at bat. Oh my God. Oh, that last at bat was like, that just felt like that was like the whole season in a nutshell. It felt like for Corbin. Like I was just sitting there dejected at the end of it, being like, why would you swing at that? Like there was a good pitch to hit, strike one, and then pitcher dotted him up, strike two, and then third strike. The pitcher could have thrown that to Mars and he would have swung at it. Like
it just seems so lost at times right now. Yeah. Right. And the frustration is building, hopefully he can find a way out of it, but again, it's getting to that point. You want to remain patient, but it's understandable for people to be worried about Corbin right now and everything going on with him. But when you look at everything going on with this entire team, it's understandable for you to be, concerned about a lot of things. Lourdes Gurriel Jr. has a 640 OPS currently. Geno Suarez is hitting 216 with a 613 OPS. And there's a lot of things not good. Gabby Moreno, 236 with a 681 OPS. A lot of pieces right now are not functioning properly. But piece of Yoshi's right. At least James Outman got optioned.
We still won today. Even when we lose, we win, baby.
Even when we lose, we win. They ain't like us. Like us. All right. Well, we thank you guys for being here on the PHNX Sports YouTube channel. Of course, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, do so now. It's a great night to do so, because if you're here, you're a real diehard, whether you're paying for that membership or not. We love you and we appreciate you. Of course, sign up for notifications. That way you don't miss whenever our wonderful shows go live. Drop us a like. Gabby loves it when you drop us a like. We love it when you drop us a like. Of course, if you're listening on the audio podcasting side, make sure you subscribe over there on your favorite audio podcasting app. Leave us a review. We always appreciate those 5-star reviews a bunch. They mean the world to us. And we thank you guys for those of you that have done that for us. Of course, check out BetMGM Sportsbook. It can make nights even like tonight more fun. You get down on the live betting. You start maybe betting against the Diamondbacks a little bit. Maybe you bring them some good luck, or maybe you win yourself some money, right? It's not the worst idea. Is it not the worst idea, Damon?
I mean, if I told you the Tigers were going to score 13 runs tonight, I would have thought there was a grand slam. I would have been all over looking for Tigers home run hitters. So.
You're absolutely right about that. And it would have been a great night, even though, and it is a weekend, right? It's Friday. I don't even know what day it is anymore. We lose track around here, but
it's Friday, right?
It is Friday. Yeah. So if they would have hit a grand slam, which it does feel like in a 13-0 loss that a grand slam was hit, you could maybe win yourself some money with BetMGM Sportsbook Grand Slam Jackpot promotion. Every weekend, that's Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, you can place a $10 wager or more on any player to hit a home run. And if that player does hit a grand slam over the course of the weekend, or on the night you choose on any weekend, again, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, you can win up to $50,000 total yourself or your share of that prize with every other winning bettor. Of course, right now is a great time to sign up for that BetMGM Sportsbook. And if you do so, use our bonus code of PHNX. Place your first BetMGM Sportsbook wager through the Sportsbook mobile app for at least $10. You will receive up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if the bet loses. Check out the show notes for full details. And now listen to Shane talk about the disclaimer.
Bets expire in 7 days. One new customer offer only. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Available in the U.S. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY 467-369 New York. Call 1-800-327-5050 Massachusetts. 21 plus only. Please gamble responsibly. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP Arizona. 1-800-BETS-OFF Iowa. 1-800-981-0023 Puerto Rico. First bet offer for new customers only. Subject to eligibility requirements. Bonus bets are non-withdrawable. In partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel. See BetMGM.com for terms. U.S. promotional offers not available in New York, Nevada, North Carolina, Ontario, or Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico and then get rid of him.
You were muted. I'm sorry.
Bring Jesse,
say that one more time.
Jesse in for the Puerto Rico and then get rid of him. Jesse, ready? Puerto Rico. No, get him out of here. He wasn't ready. Get him out of here, Damon. Get him out of here. I'll introduce him later. I was Puerto Rico just for the Puerto Rico and you blew it. You fucking blew it. God damn it, Jesse. Anyway. All right. Well,
that is supposed to be your guys' thing. I don't really.
I thought it was our thing. I thought it was our, like, we really connected over too. That. That's my tiny island. And he just, it's like it's become his second home. And all of a sudden, just because the Diamondbacks lose 13-0, he forgets the things we do around here. Anyway, one thing that you should never forget to do is to put your money somewhere where it is safe and that the people that are helping you make decisions with that money have your best interests in mind. Of course, when I say that, I mean, make sure you bank with a wonderful institution like our friends at Desert Financial Credit Union. For more than 84 years, Desert Financial has been Arizona's largest, most trusted local credit union, and they are dedicated to creating exceptional experiences by giving back to the community and providing financial solutions that make your life better. Of course, you can look to Desert Financial for checking and savings accounts, mortgages, loans, credit cards, investment options, and so much more. And when you open a free checking account online right now, you can get $200 in bonuses. Get started by visiting desertfinancial.com/200. All right, I guess now I'm ready for him. Bring Jesse in here. Of course, it's everybody's favorite guy in the whole wide world. Your Thunderstick, my vice mayor, Jesse Friedman. Jesse, what a bad night. What a bad night.
Yeah, it wasn't great, Derek. The 13-0. I guess we can stop having conversations about how the Diamondbacks run differential is so incredibly good.
Those days are over.
Those days are kind of over. They go from +15 to +2 with this game today. So yeah, I mean, Tarik Skubal was just so good. And we warned everyone, Derek, in our show at 1 p.m. about how good Tarik Skubal is. I think he's probably the front runner for the AL Cy Young Award, and you could see why tonight.
Well, and it's not just the fact that he's really good. It was that when you look at his strengths, at least the way that his numbers lined up, it especially matched up well against the Diamondbacks based on what we have discussed has been their struggles offensively so far this season.
Yeah, the Diamondbacks in particular have struggled against velocity this year. They are, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but they're definitely in the bottom half of the league, maybe the bottom third or even worse than that in terms of hitting higher velocity. And Tarik Skubal has that. I mean, he normally averages 96.4 with his four-seamer. Today, it was up from that. If I can find it here, I think it was over 97 in this game, 97.7 was his average four-seam fastball tonight. So his stuff was up across the board. I wonder if there was maybe a bit of adrenaline for him. He definitely had a crowd of friends and family in the ballpark. There were some loud cheers pregame when his name was announced, of course, being a Kingman, Arizona native. So this is a big day for Tarik Skubal. And just as a baseball fan in general, I have to admit that I very much enjoy watching Tarik Skubal do his thing. He's one of the best in the game right now.
Fun fact, Jesse, that wasn't just his family. That was the entire population of the town of Kingman. And
yeah, well, there were 25,000 in attendance tonight, so I think the whole city of Kingman could have been here and not filled the stadium, so it makes sense.
Of course, we know what Skubal did, and it's really no surprise. I think the more surprising part is the Diamondbacks having 13 runs put up against them by a team that really has not been very good, not all year offensively, but especially lately. They have been not very good as far as at the plate as a baseball team, yet they were able to do what they did tonight, putting up 17 hits and 13 runs.
Yeah, I mean, the Tigers in their previous game on Wednesday, I believe, was a 2-0 loss to the Miami Marlins. And then the day before that, they lost to the Marlins, I believe, 1-0 in 10 innings. So you're talking about a Detroit Tigers offense that came in with a 19-inning scoreless streak against one of the worst teams in baseball in the Miami Marlins. And that's baseball for you, Derek, right? That team comes in here and just absolutely pummels Diamondbacks, put up 11 runs within 5 innings. Of course, they get to 13 by the end of the game. And there were some, to be fair, I think there were some balls that just kind of found the outfield grass, a lot of well-placed hits by the Tigers. I don't know if this was like the truest 17 hit night performance that I've ever seen, but 17 hits is 17 hits. And I'm not going to try to my way out of this one. The D-backs just got destroyed tonight. That's just the reality.
I appreciate you admitting that, even and with staying as professional as you need to. But of course, we have more from Ryne Nelson himself on his outing and how badly things went tonight. Here is what Ryne had to say.
I felt like I was executing pitches, and sometimes it just happens when the ball finds holes, and you got to be able to pitch around it when stuff like that happens. So I think that just kind of started to snowball a little bit.
As you said, as you started to snowball, by the time you got to the fourth inning, was it a little harder to stay in focus and concentration?
No, I don't think focus and concentration was it. I think it was just a little bit of some unfortunate hits, and then some other hits followed after those.
How did the cutter's been an important pitch this year? How did that feel today?
It felt good. I think that a couple of those hits to the lefties were in on their hands, and sometimes the ball just finds holes.
Do you feel like they were able to just sit on the fastball and cutter a little bit? I mean, what do you kind of attribute getting hits on those pitches to?
Could be that. I think that there was some room to throw some more curveballs in there and kind of slow them down. But I haven't looked at it fully. I have to go back and look.
How about the change? How did that feel?
Change felt good for the most part today. There was a couple of pitches that I really liked, and I think I gave up another soft hit on a changeup as well off the plate. So, yeah, it just felt like nothing really went my way tonight.
Nothing really went my way tonight. The balls found some holes. Like, there was a lot of things there said that, I mean,
yeah,
he felt like he had command and he felt like everything was going good for him. I don't know, Jesse. I don't know if I'm buying it there. Do you agree? Like, I guess we talked earlier about the hard hit percentage for the Tigers, and it was 31%. So it's not like there were a lot of hard hit balls tonight. So I mean, there is data to back up what he's saying as far as balls just kind of finding holes, but finding holes this many times in a baseball game seems like really, really bad luck.
Yeah, that's all very fair. I have a graphic here that we can take a look at, which is basically the location of all of the pitches that turned into hits for Ryne Nelson. And to be fair here, Derek, a lot of these pitches are right on the edge of the strike zone. I was a little skeptical as well when I heard what Ryne was saying here. But a lot of these pitches were genuinely fairly well located. If you look at the exit velocities on these, a lot of them were pretty low. Only 4 of the 11 hits that Ryne Nelson gave up in this game were 95 or higher off the bat. A lot of them were in the 70s, the 80s. I think there's one in the 50s. So there was some tough luck here. Like, I think that's totally fair and totally real. But there was maybe at least a bit of a disconnect between what Ryne said here, where he seemed to think that he actually executed pitches pretty well by and large, whereas Torey Lovullo, it didn't say that Ryne pitched terribly by any means, but did seem to think that Ryne just didn't execute his pitches very well, just left too many pitches in the middle of the zone and got beat for that reason. So yeah, it wasn't a good start by Ryne Nelson by any means. There's no way around that. But I was pretty struck. Like his average exit velo in the game as a whole was 85.5, which is one of the lowest of the year by any D-back starting pitcher. Like that's actually a pretty good number.
So is this a tip of the cap to the Tigers tonight for doing what they did? Is this just more bad luck for this team? How would you view this?
Yeah, I guess it's a combination of both. Torey was, definitely tipping his cap to the Tigers offense. Based on the location of those pitches, I think you have to tip your cap in some ways. Like a lot of those, as I said, were genuinely pretty well located. But there's also something to be said for, as a pitcher, you're not just looking to work the edges. You're looking to keep hitters off balance, to make them uncomfortable. Right. And I don't know if Ryne Nelson really accomplished that tonight. He did get, I think it was 8 whiffs on his four seamer. He was getting some swing and miss. They get 11 whiffs total, which isn't a terrible number for him. There were a decent number of called strikes as well. But Tigers hitters just felt to me like they were pretty comfortable throughout the game. And I think that goes back to Ryne still kind of trying to refine the arsenal a little bit, trying to find reliable secondary pitches to work with off the fastball. Didn't really feel like he had that working tonight.
I've said it before, but I'll say it again, Jesse. I'll say it lots of times. This organization should have never parted ways with Tommy Pham, because Tommy Pham toughened everybody up. And Ryne Nelson needs to go out there and he needs to throw some high heat and he needs to get some guys uncomfortable and he needs to do some of those things. Yeah, because I think he's just too nice. He's too nice. Him and Tommy Henry, the two of them, they're just too nice of guys. And sometimes you can't be nice as a starting pitcher. You have to have that hatred in your heart for that man with the bat in his hand. You know what I mean? And like there was a time where Randy Johnson used to roam that clubhouse, and that man knew to bring his hatred, not just for the batter, but for everybody. He just brought his hatred for everybody on the day he pitched, and we need more of that. But of course, this team's too nice for that, and that's why we need Tommy Pham back. Of course, Torey did have more on tonight's loss, and Tarik Skubal really doing an excellent job of handling the Diamondbacks tonight. Here's what Torey had to say.
That was a painful game, and we absorbed a lot. We took on a lot, but the one good thing about today is it's over, and we got to turn the page, and we get a new day. We get a new crack at it tomorrow. The Tigers just had a really good offensive approach. They were staying on the baseball. They were using the all-field approach. You could tell that it was clearly a game plan that they had with some of their contact early in the game. And then they just started to slug, and then they just got in really a rhythm. We couldn't stop that tide. Now they had trouble locating some pitches at times, and there's some key at bats where I felt like it lingered, and then they got some extension on some pitches, and we didn't execute today on the mound. It's not like the Tigers got after us and we didn't execute. So it's a combination of a lot of things. Good offensive team, lack of execution, and it equaled what we saw tonight. So we'll get after it tomorrow. That's how I'm going to focus and get 3 tonight.
What was from Skubal tonight?
A lot of velo, a lot of location, a lot of mixture. It's about as good as we've seen today this year. It was real impressive.
Man was impressive against the Diamondbacks. And yeah, Torey, I mean, Torey's right. Like Torey is going to try to convince this team at this point just to flush this loss and move on. But I don't know, Jesse. I think that the Diamondbacks, I think they need to have a slap in the face like this. I need to let this one sting. Right now, there's a lot of things you could attribute their struggles to, but Corbin Carroll hitting 188 with a 526 OPS, Lourdes Gurriel hitting 225 with a 640 OPS, Gabby Moreno 236 with a 681 OPS. These are the guys that were supposed to be leading the way this season. They are healthy. They are in the lineup. They're starting every day, but they are just not contributing consistently to this offense. And it can't just be completely held up by Ketel Marte on his own.
Hearing you say those numbers, I mean, I'm still in awe of what we talked about on the show yesterday with how the D-backs, at least as of yesterday, ranked 4th in all of baseball in runs scored. Like, how does that work? Like, how is that math problem possible where Lourdes is really not hit at all since the first couple weeks of the season? Eugenio Suarez really hasn't gotten going at all. Corbin Carroll, of course, his OPS has gone down considerably in the last couple of weeks, even, despite the struggles that he was having before that. So yeah, I mean, it is like on days like this where almost everyone in the lineup takes an offer and you look at the numbers, it's like, how does this work again? Like, how is this baseball team like kind of staying afloat and, one game out of the wild card at this point? Like they're not buried in the standings by any means. But yeah, D-backs they're not fully healthy. That's certainly been a narrative that we've revisited time and time again. But offensively, they have a lot of their key contributors, and a lot of them just really haven't gotten going yet.
That's what I mean. As much as we want to, at times, I think, put the worry aside and say reinforcements are on the way, as I've said countless number of times, those reinforcements are Geraldo Perdomo and Alek Thomas. And these aren't guys that
middle of the order hitters.
They're not 950 OPS guys, right? They're not guys that are going to come in and save the day and really be the consistent hitters. Now, what I'll say about Perdomo is that his energy is something you can't quantify, right? When you have a guy who you ask, what do you miss most about being out there playing baseball? And he has the audacity to tell you being down 0-2 in the count and working in full. Like, that's a different kind of psycho, right? That man's a psycho about baseball. That's a different level of love for playing the game, knowing that when you're down 0-2 is when the real battle starts. And now we're playing. Now we're playing baseball, right? Like, that's an incredible mindset to have as a competitor. And I think that's what's missing right now from this team. Geraldo Perdomo hopes to be down 0-2, right? These other guys wish that they don't get down 0-2. They hope they don't get down 0-2. Geraldo Perdomo was like, I hope a motherfucker does get me down 0-2, right? Like, it's just a different kind of thing. So, like, even though his stats might not fill the box, maybe, again, like I joked about with Tommy Pham, maybe that confidence, maybe having someone in the lineup that's just ready to compete like that could bring a different mindset to his teammates. Maybe it could help, in ways that his batting average doesn't necessarily, show, but they need something right now. And the Diamondbacks definitely have a lot of areas right now where they're coming up short. I know we talked about your tweet about Ryne Nelson. Torey says that Ryne Nelson will make his next start, and it sounds like there was no doubt about that, regardless of tonight's outcome. Is that more of confidence in Ryne Nelson and their belief in him, or is that, Jesse, just a matter of options?
Yeah, maybe some of both. Tommy Henry and Ryne Nelson are sort of aligned right now in terms of their schedule. Tommy Henry started tonight in Reno. The Reno Aces, I believe, lost 14-0. But Tommy Henry wasn't. He wasn't quite so bad. He gave up 4 runs in 5 innings, which isn't a terrible outing in the Pacific Coast League. But yeah, I mean, you look at Tommy Henry and Ryne Nelson and Slade Ciccone. Those guys this season have made 18 starts for the Diamondbacks. That's 18 out of 45 games. That's 40% of the Diamondbacks games this season have been started by one of those 3 guys. And I did the math. You combine their numbers this season, that's a 5.93 ERA between all 3 of those guys. And that's 40% of your games. So that's not the way that this team was drawn up, right? If you've got Erod and you've got Merrill Kelly, then you don't actually need either of those guys to fill roles in your starting rotation, or any of those guys to fill roles in your starting rotation. With the injuries that the D-backs have had, that of course has not been the case. They've had to lean on those guys quite a bit.
Well, Jesse, is this a matter of now maybe Ryne Nelson might not be the guy that sticks around once starters do become expendable, once Erod returns? Does Slade maybe stay in that spot instead of Ryan? I felt like we were confident about that, but I mean, performance should dictate who stays in the starting rotation, especially considering what the Diamondbacks right now are in need of.
It's a good question because I think we know that once you have both Merrill and Erod back, that Slade and Ryan would be the odd guys out. But
sure, there's no doubt about that, right?
Yeah, but it's not like they're going to both be reinstated from the IL on the exact same day. There's probably, it appears that we're at least more likely to get Erod back sooner than Merrill, although that's not really that's a little bit more speculative than anything at this point. But yeah, you're going to get one back before the other, almost certainly. So you're going to have to make a decision about whom of Slade or Ryan you would move on from. And I don't really know the answer to that question. I don't really have a great feel for that. Neither of those guys are pitching all that well right now. I guess Slade in the first few innings has been so incredible that maybe you feel better about kind of keep going with him and then have a quicker leash than the D-backs have had so far.
Just combine them into one, right?
Combine them into
Slade,
one. Yeah, that's another
Slade goes
option.
out there for two, Ryan goes out there for two, call it a day. Bring in the bullpen from there. I don't know. They have a lot to figure out. And tonight it did not help. I'm sure it did not help. Torey did not help the front office make any decisions that they have to make in regards to this. And right now, it very much sounds like they're sticking with Ryne Nelson. So we'll see if that changes. Of course, tonight is a great night for these two sponsors, Jesse. I just need to tell you, OG's Brands, God bless you. You wonderful little delicious delights that help us overcome a loss like a 13-0 loss. Of course, OG's has more than just like a happy balance blend that'll help you get over tonight's loss. They have their sleep edition gummy, which absolutely will help you get your sleep back on track, your sleep schedule. That's my favorite part about it. One bag of sleep edition gummies from OG's and your sleep schedule will be back on track. Of course, you can also check out their brand new products, including their OG's Naturals made with live rosin and their Big OG's, which I'm a big fan of, made with Rick Simpson oil, which is just the best. It's the best. So to learn more about OG's gummies and where you can find them, head on over to ogsbrands.com. Must be 21 or older to enjoy. And please enjoy responsibly. Also, I am drinking right now a delicious Bad Birdie Juicy Golden Ale to get over this loss. It is perfect for wins. It's even better in losses. And of course, it's fabulous anytime. But when I'm sad, I'm getting over it with a Bad Birdie Juicy Golden Ale. And you can too. You can get them wherever you get your beers at. You can also check out all the other wonderful beers Four Peaks has to offer. I got this bad boy in a little 15-can variety pack that I very much enjoy because I love variety packs. I love having that variety of different beers to drink. I like going to breweries and getting like a little flight of beers and just having that option of drinking more than one flavor. And Four Peaks has you covered with those 15-can variety packs. So make sure to pick those up wherever you get your beers. You can also visit Four Peaks in person. Visit fourpeaks.com/locator to find all your favorite beers and events with Four Peaks. Check out at Four Peaks Brewer at Four Peaks Pub to keep up with the latest Arizona's hometown brewery. Must be 21 or older to drink Four Peaks. And again, please drink responsibly. Well, Jesse, on a night like this, I'm definitely going to lie. I'm going to lie about what I do maybe for a living when people ask me if I do, in fact, cover this team that lost 13-0 to the Tigers. But we know the numbers. They don't lie. So what do you have for tonight's number coming from this game?
Tonight's number is 29, which is the number of base hits that Ryne Nelson has allowed going back to the second inning of his start on May 5th. That, Derek, is a period of 12 2/3 innings, 29.
Oh, your mic got muted there, Jesse. There you go. You're back.
Muted. All right. Now I'm back. I don't know what you heard, but yes, 29 hits in 12 in a span of 12 2/3 innings. Ryne Nelson's last 12 2/3 innings pitched. That's a pretty brutal number.
That's absolutely brutal. That's not great. That's not great. I don't want to talk about that number of Ryne Nelson or this night anymore ever again.
It's
Let's just flush this one. And maybe Ryne Nelson's last 3 starts. That's bad.
Yeah, it's 29 for 64. That's what hitters have gone against Ryne Nelson since the second inning of that start on May 5th. That is a 453 batting average.
Oh,
so,
good Lord. Good Lord.
Yeah, it's not great.
What do we do?
Well, you could the Diamondbacks could go sign Zach Greinke, right? I don't know if you saw the story from the Republic a couple hours ago, but apparently Zach Greinke was out at Salt River Fields, I believe today, throwing, not necessarily because the D-backs are interested in signing him, but just because the D-backs were nice enough to allow him to get some work in, he's considering sort of trying to return.
Mike Hazen is out there. He's watching him. He's chatting him up. Trust me. Oh, yeah, Jesse, I know. I was booked to come work a golf event for this company, and I was smart enough to bring my golf bag, just in case they needed an extra golfer. Lo and behold, I made my way into a foursome with Justin Spears and my guy Nick Robinson and had the best time of my entire life. Now, yeah, Zach's just hanging around with his glove and a ball, like just hanging out just in case someone needs him. And guess who needs him? A team where one of their starting pitchers has just given up 29 hits in his last 12 and a third innings pitch, Jesse. That's a team that needs somebody, and Zach might be that guy. I'm for it. He has to throw nothing but eephus pitches, though. I need an eephus pitching machine. Oh, man, I don't know what to think about that. Damon, sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say real quick, there are some quotes in there of, because some of the currently rehabbing D-backs players faced Zach Greinke today, which is maybe the most fascinating part of the story. So Geraldo Perdomo faced him, Jorge Barossa faced him. I think I don't know if I saw Alec Thomas in there. I might not have, but I know that Geraldo Perdomo was very complimentary of Zach Greinke's changeup. And was talking about how, if this is how good the changeup looked in Greinke's first live session, how good could it look once he really gets going?
When he's ready.
When he's ready. He was a little bit non-committal about, exactly why he is doing this. If he's really close to 3,000 career strikeouts, I believe. So if that was a factor, he didn't really get into specifics about that, and it's kind of unclear what the timeline is here, how soon he's trying to be signed by a major league team, if in fact that's something that he's trying to do. But yeah, man, I mean, Zach Greinke, he's kind of a freak, right? He's 40 years old. He's had an amazing major league career, but maybe he's not done just yet, Derek. We'll see.
He's never done. Get him back on a mound. I want to see it. Of course, we do have some super chats. I don't want to leave those out. Damon, what do we got? Zach Zent. Thank you so much, Zach. $5 super chat. Zach says, since the injury mid-July, Corbin's batting average for the four seam has gone down from greater than 350 to less than 200, down to the week 7 out of 10. He never recovered and it was never fixed. I don't know. I mean, that seems to be the big, conspiracy theory, right, Jesse? Like, everybody thinks there's, like I said, there's even fantasy websites that are almost reporting it as if it's fact. And it's like, I don't know where they're getting this information from. I'm not saying that it's not a theory to be entertained, but I'm saying I've been present when the question has been asked multiple times. And the answer is always that Corbin Carroll is fine health-wise, that this is nothing to do. It's not to say that injury or that situation didn't impact his mechanics in some way going forward, but that would be more of a change of mechanics and not just due to an injury. Like, it's not swinging a bat differently because he's sore. It's due to a thought out change to his mechanics. And even then, I'm not really sure, if that's necessarily the answer based on that particular incident.
Yeah, I mean, we've addressed this so many times, right? Like, it's not like Corbin Carroll and Torey Lovullo have not been asked about the shoulder injury and the possibility of that contributing here. Those questions have been asked over and over and over again, and the answer has always been a very clear no, that Corbin Carroll is fine. And I'm inclined to believe that, because what would the Diamondbacks have to gain by running an injured Corbin Carroll out there? Like, why would they want to do that? He's not even, I mean, he's obviously struggling to produce right now. So, you know, if he were hurt, I mean, of course you would want to get that taken care of with a player as important as he is to your future. So I'm very much inclined to believe what they've said about the shoulder. As we've said in the past, though, I think there's maybe a mental component to that situation where he thought that his season was over when it happened, and it turned out it was actually okay. Corbin has said in the past that when he had that big surgery on his right shoulder, that it wasn't really possible to get back to the way it was before. When you have a surgery like that, that's not really how that works. Like, that surgery happens and it sort of changes your body forever. It doesn't mean you can't still be a really freaking good baseball player, but it is going to be different. It's going to feel different than it did before. So could there be some mental effects there? I think that's possible, but the injury part of it, I just can't really buy that.
All right. Well, Nicholas Gruters, thank you for your super chat. He also talks about Corbin. He says, Corbin, we have a problem. He and Baez are almost statistically identical offensively so far this year. This isn't a slump anymore. Also, Ryan, Reno, please. Yeah, I understand people's frustration and impatience, especially with the way that the Diamondbacks, season has gone. But right now isn't necessarily the time, just due to options, right? Like, we definitely need to remember that the Diamondbacks are beggars and not choosers right now when it comes to having a competitive, lineup out there every single night. And the hope is that, much like what I said earlier when we were talking about Drew Jones and how quickly Drew Jones's season went from looking like he was an absolute bust to now, over the last 30 days, him looking very much like the top prospect everybody thought he could be, right? Things can change quickly in baseball, especially when you are as good at baseball as Corbin Carroll is. But this slump is becoming something that I agree that people should be worried about. I just don't think it's, I think it's not just Corbin, right? I think that when you look at multiple players on this team, there's issues. I guess maybe one idea that we haven't really entertained is, at what point do you start blaming the coaching staff or the hitting coach for, what's going on with so many members of this team? Is there a point in that? I mean, we know that Joe Mather has been very good, and that he's been a well-respected coach. And honestly, when he was with the Reds, that hitting staff was able to, turn that Reds team into an absolute group of monsters, right? So I understand that Mather has been good, right? But I mean, there does come a point where a team is, so bad all around offensively that you have to start wondering when, a coach is going to get blamed, especially a coach who's in charge of the offense.
Yeah, I mean, it goes back, though, to the D-backs still being, I don't know what it is now. Maybe now they're fifth in the league in runs scored instead of fourth. Like, you cannot fire a hitting coach when your team offensive stats are that way. And that's still, I fully acknowledge that there are a lot of key contributors to this D-backs team that have not hit well this season. Absolutely. They've been helped a lot by Jock Peterson coming in and doing what he's done. And
he's been
who's a veteran player and been around for a long time. And Christian Walker, who you feel kind of has a pretty good thing of his own going at this point. But yeah, it pointing the finger at Joe Mather at this point, I just don't really see that happening, and I don't really think it makes sense.
All right. Well, we can take a look at the probable pitchers for the rest of the series, because the Diamondbacks do have their big pitchers going in this series for the final two games. Zach Gallen tomorrow, and then Jordan Montgomery in the finale on Sunday. They face some pretty good starting pitching from the Tigers in Jack Flaherty and Matt Manning.
They do, yeah. I mean, Matt Manning has been up and down a couple times, I believe, from the minors, but he still has a totally respectable 4.37 ERA. He'll pitch in that Sunday game, and then Jack Flaherty going tomorrow against Zach Gallen in what appears to be a pretty interesting pitchers duel. Gallen has obviously been really good for the D-backs this year with a 2.86 ERA, and as we discussed in the afternoon show, Jack Flaherty's been a whole lot better than his 3.88 ERA would suggest. His peripherals are some of the best in the league. Actually, pretty similar to Tarik Skubal. Their strikeout and walk numbers are both just outstanding coming into this season. Coming into this series. So D-backs, they're gonna have their hands full again tomorrow night with Flaherty on the mound.
Well, let's hope that game goes better than tonight's game, because it has to. We need it to, for the sake of my sanity. But of course, we thank you guys for being here. You guys are the real ones that have been here tonight for this post-game show. You can follow us on Twitter. I am at cap_Kman with a K. Jesse is at Jesse and Friedman. Of course, the people's producer, Damon. He's at Damon Dog. That's DAWG. We are Damon's dogs. Bark, bark. Bark. We almost got it. Of course, our show is at PHNX_D-backs, but all roads do lead to at PHNX_sports on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Don't miss out on checking out Jesse's On the Record this week in regards to previewing this series with the Tigers and throwing some dirt on Javier Baez's name after he did what he did to us. Actually, he did that beforehand. But anyway, check that out. Make sure not to miss all of that stuff. Of course, we do thank you guys for being here. You guys are the best. Have yourselves a great weekend. We will be back on Monday at 1 p.m. But until then, we hope that we see the Diamondbacks turn things around. We hope you turn things around. Hopefully, you don't need to turn things around. Hopefully, you didn't lose 13-0 tonight. But, of course, we thank you guys once again for being here. Have yourselves a wonderful weekend. And remember, kids, baseball is fun. But tonight, it just wasn't fun. It just wasn't fun.
We all silly like the mayor.